Good morning everybody and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Volmer, and today I have a rolling stock update for you and also a bit of a layout update, just a little bit of a progress report on the layout because a few additional bits have been done, so I just thought I'd share that with you because you'll probably end up seeing it in the course of me mentioning and talking about the various locos and rolling stock. So that's probably where we're going to go first. So the first thing to talk about is a few of you recently, if you saw my last video, you would have known that I've done the EMR HSTs and the First Great Western drags. And I was talking about getting some bars to try and see if we can shorten the gap between the Loco and the HST. So it was kind of, so I took this to Paul, and this was like the longest one that I had that I managed to find, and I went to see if I could find some shorter ones. And he's got two sets. He had two sets which are actually shorter than the one that I actually took. So I'm going to experiment with these two. I've actually bought a digital caliper, which I think is a really useful tool, but that hasn't turned up yet. So that will give me some accuracy and give me some readings on just how close and how much space you save just by trying out some of these other bars to try and bring the gap down between the Loco and the HST. So I'm going to do that as a separate video when the calipers turn up. They should be here within the next few days or so. So that video will turn up in due course. So that's the first thing to really talk to you about. I'm then going to now take you to the layout and just give you a bit of a layout update. And before we start really getting into the locos and what I've been doing and some of the new stuff that's also turned up here on the layout. So just to give you a quick overview of some of the extra stuff I've done on the layout is I've now mapped out this side of the container terminal. So as you can see now, I've just added the white lines and the some road markings, also some more of the concrete boxes. And also along here, I've done some more of the road markings along here. So that ties everything up. So for those of you interested, these sort of 10-mile-an-hour signs, all these road signs were done by pencil and then as a stencil, and then I've overlaid them with the paint. And I've used a 10p piece just to put that on top of where I wanted to put the circle and draw around it, and then I painted around it to get my speed signs on the floor. So for those of you interested in that, that's how I've done that. With these lines here, I've used electrical tape to mark out, and then just painted in between the electrical tape, and then after remove the electrical tape to reveal the line. And that's how I've done it, because the electrical tape is low tack, so it doesn't really stick, it doesn't really bleed. So it's really good because it's got enough of a stick that it will stay down, but when you peel it off, it doesn't rip everything up that's underneath, so that's really good. I've been using the Vallejo paint to make the road markings, this one here. And then these were my old light bulbs, or lamp posts I should say. And then as you can see, they're made out of brass. I'm still going to reuse them, but I've also managed to find, somebody had asked me about the diameter, so this is diameter. I managed to find the plastic version, which is a lot more economical and better. You also get some really long strips, so I can cut these down to make small lampposts. And this pack cost me $4.99, and that's the diameter dose for those of you that are interested that I'm using. So I'm going to see how I get on with that. I've checked it out, it's pretty much identical. So that should work out a lot better, to be honest. And also, because it's plastic, the paint should adhere better, because some of the paint was already getting chipped on the brass. Even though I used a metal primer, it was still getting chipped. So I'll be quite happy to go and use the plastic version. So hopefully that should work out quite nicely. Because I needed some more anyway. Needed some more lampposts and needed some more, but I didn't want to get some more brass because it's a lot more expensive than the tube and the plastic tube. And so, like I said, I've got to kind of put some more posts along here and here, and then obviously there's some to go over there and all the way around there and there, and then I'm going to try and put some in the middle down here somewhere, and then somewhere down the ends. So I'm going to need some more to cover the whole area, so that's what I'm going to have to do. But yeah, we're getting there. And as you can see, there's also some road markings all the way down towards the end there. So that's all done. So the first locomotive to talk to you about is just coming into view now. And here it is. This is 47245 in a West Coast livery. Now you've seen this one before, but a few days ago I had a bit of a cull of my rolling stock again. And again, this is to get rid of even more blue stuff that I had that just wasn't really being used. And I had a really old blue 47 Batman. And I wasn't sure whether the chassis was actually the same, but basically it didn't have the main headlight on the bottom that this one has. It just had the two marker lights. So I got rid of it, but it had the TTS chip in it. So I took the TTS chip in it, and basically this is basically the update on this one is that this has got that TTS chip in it. So now it's got its 47 sound fitted inside this Batman version, whereas before this didn't have any sound at all. The only thing I would say about Class 47s, I've said this before, but they've got the most depressing horn ever. It's just so depressing. It just always makes me laugh whenever you hear a horn for the 47. It always sounds like it's depressed. Anyway, so yeah, so that's the update for this 47. So the next thing to talk to you about is not necessarily about the actual Loco or the containers behind it. It's actually more to do with the fact that the container terminal has now just got essentially a passing loop, which is how it works now. So there's no reversing involved now for the locomotive. And those of you who remember Mildenhall and Volmer in the good old days, let me just get a stop, there you go, would have known that in the middle we used to have a lot more sidings for the container terminal, which means that I bought a lot more wagons. And so therefore I ended up buying a load of spine wagons by Dapol, which are now surplus to requirements, because I've now got this train, which is more than enough, and I've also got some additional container wagons. So what I've decided to do is to convert a set of my container wagons to engineers trains. So I will bring that into shot so you can see the conversion. So these are my converted spine wagons. They are FEA wagons, and they're from Dapol, and they are actually container wagons. And I know for a fact, and I've got some images that I got off the internet, that some of these were converted to carry engineers' trains and to carry track such as this, for example. Now, obviously, that's just a short piece, and this is a second-hand piece. I'm yet to get some track, actually. I was meant to get some today, but I forgot. But you get the idea. So, with a very simple kind of conversion, which took me only a couple of hours at most, to convert this particular pack as a bit of an experiment to see whether or not it would work. And I'm pleased to say that I'm really happy with the results and that it does actually work. So now, rather than selling these wagons off as surplus, I can now use them as part of my engineer's train, which, as you can see in the back, I've got some GNAs behind the locomotive. And so now all it is just a piece of card. And like I said, I took some careful measurements and all the rest of it. And I've actually sprayed the bottom of the card so it's green, so it matches in with the chassis and with the wagon. And then the top has just been painted over with some Vallejo sort of paint that matches what I've seen from the photographs. And then essentially what I'm going to be doing is putting some track on top of this, creating engineer's trains out of this, and put some straps across it. I'm actually currently thinking of doing some more of these wagons because I'm really pleased with it. And I've actually seen some YouTube video of a load of these wagons being hauled all in one hit with track. So it's not just a small batch. I can actually create a whole rake just to carry track, which I think will look really, really nice and be different. And and whatever I've got spare is what I'll convert, because then at least I'll be getting some use out of them, which I think will be a really great idea. So I'm really pleased with these wagons that I've converted. It's a very simple conversion. Like I said, it didn't take long. It's only just a piece of card, sprayed and painted, scored, and also varnished. So I'm really, really pleased with that. So we'll get that on its merry way. Now it's time to talk to you about this locomotive in front of this rake. So this is one of my oldest, in fact it is my oldest Class 66 that I own. And this is 66532, and it is P&O Network Atlas in the original Freightliner livery. Now a lot of you have probably seen this already, but what has been done to this, as some of you may have noticed, it has been weathered. I finally started weathering, and again, I'm proceeding with my weathering skills. I'm still trying to get through them, and I really want to do it, but I'm sort of doing it slowly but surely, as I'm learning as I go along. You know, as I get confident, I feel like doing it. And I was watching a YouTube video, and I saw a Freightliner just like this, and it looked very similar to this, and it really inspired me, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to have a go at doing this one. So I've had a go at doing my 70 now. I've done a 73, so I've really cracked on with some weathering and I've done a lot of wagons already, and I'm so super duper pleased with this 66. And now I'm just going to pan the camera around to this 57 that's parked right next to it, and you'll see the difference in the green, which will sort of tell you and show you instantly just how the 66 used to look to what it is now. So I'm just going to pan you round to the 57. And as you can see, if I just stop like that, you can see that the green on the 57 on the right is so much more vibrant than what the 66 does looking on the left. And the 66 used to look like the Freightliner on the right. And like I said, if I pan you around some more, you can just see just how vibrant the green is and how in your face that green is. It's so bright. But now, if we look at the 66, you can see just how toned down it is. So what has the 66 had done to it? Well, the 66 has had its bottom done. The chassis has been sprayed up in the frame dirt. And I've just lightly gone over it. I haven't really touched the fronts too much, but I've just touched the buffers and the air dams. And the sides have had a slight blowing over to take that shine off. I've used the roof dirt to hit the grills. One grill on this side and then the grills on the other side. And then I've also hit the roof dirt on the top of the 66. So let's just get up and close and personal. I'll take the camera off the tripod and give you a bit of a closer look. So just to sort of show you a bit closer what's been done, you can see that the air dam, that the vents have definitely had to going over. They've kind of got this misty effect on them, and it's that whole thing. It just sort of tones it all down. If you see the roof, again, it's just had the toning down, nothing exciting. The exhaust has also had a bit of a tone down. Just everything's just generally been toned down, and it's just got this frame dirt. And on the front, if I can get around it, I don't know if you can see it. I'm just going to drop you down, hopefully. Hopefully the camera will pick it up. You can probably make it out like there is some frame dirt on the air dam at the bottom, but generally the front and the sides are generally pretty clean. So I haven't gone as heavy on this one as I did with my Hornby one. Nonetheless, it's not because I feel like I made a mistake, but it's something slightly different, and this just looks so much nicer, and I'm really pleased with this. You look at this Freightliner 57 and you just see how green it is, how vibrant it is. And in reality, they were nothing like that. So this is one of the Locos that might be a candidate for getting weathering relatively soon. It is one of my favourites, this 57. I do like it, as well as this 66. I really like this as well. But it's just the subtle weathering which tones it down. And I just think it looks so much nicer than what it did before. So, hello. Now comes the really exciting bit. I have a new train to show you. And when I mean a new train, I mean a new train. Complete. So, I've been oohing and ahhing after something for some time. I know I say this quite regularly, but it is true. What it is like I said before earlier in the video, I'm not a collector, so I just like to run my trains. And if my trains don't get used or don't get run, I just see it as dead money, and I'd rather just sell them on and reinvest that money into something I'm likely to use. So in this case, this is exactly what happened. So over the past, probably year now, and you've probably seen me say this on this channel on a number of occasions, that I've been doing a number of culls with the layout. A lot of it's to do with my BR Blue Network Southeast stuff from my Behringer days. So those of you who followed me from all the way back then, I still have rolling stock. Even today, I've still got rolling stock from that period, which I've sort of kept, but it's getting ever slimmer. Because I start getting to a point where I'm just thinking, this is just a waste of money, just it's sitting here doing nothing. And, you know, last thing I need it to do is just when I want to run it, it's got problems or seized up or whatever. And I'm not saying not on eBay or anything, because it's just too much hassle and it's not even worth it nowadays. But that's a whole nother story. So I'd rather sell my stuff secondhand or swap it over and exchange it. That's the route I prefer to go down. Because to be honest, with the money that I'm losing by paying fees on eBay, and I understand that eBay have got to make their money and all the rest of it, but I just think they're being too greedy and they're just taking too much. So I don't sell stuff on eBay anymore, plus of all the hassle. So I know I'm going to lose stuff if I sell stuff in exchange, but to be honest, it's got to a point where it's actually easier, less hassle, and I'm actually not going to lose as much by doing it that way anymore than if I sell on eBay. I mean, before people just used to sell stuff on eBay to make money, but these days you don't even make that much money, because by the time that eBay have taken all their cut out of it, you lose so much money it's not even worth it. And I've just found that out to my cost this week. Nothing railway related, but something else that I sold, and I've just realised just how much money in the end I've made out of it, and it's just really not worth the hassle. So whereas before in the old days you might think, oh, I lose quite a lot of money if I take it and exchange it second hand, these days actually it's not as bad as you think, and you get slightly more because of the fact that you're not asking for cash. So as long as you don't ask for cash, then it's fine. So like I said, I've reinvested my old stock into some new stock, and one of the stock that I got rid of was an old HST that I had with sound, and I got rid of it, but I took the sound out of it and put that into one of my other HSTs, which again I'll show you at the end of this video. So the money that I made from that and the 47, and I managed to get something else that I really wanted. Now I did see it in Paul's model shop. He's got it in his display cabinet, and I've been wanting it for ages and ages, but I just couldn't really justify or really afford it, to be honest. But by reinvesting my old stock into new stock, then I can actually get what I want. So that's what I've done. So I went to another model shop that I go to called Hampshire Models, and that is based in Basingstoke. And he had what I wanted, and I took my stuff over, and he was quite happy to swap it over, which is fantastic. So let me show you what I've got then. And what I've got is a new HST, and this is the Network Southeast, the Network Rail new measurement train pack. And this is our number, if I can find it for you, for those of you that are interested, R3769, and this is the newer version of it all. There has been a few flying banana packs come out before, but this is the latest reincarnation by Hornby. I have to say, it's absolutely beautiful. I have had a few issues with it, which I find is more of a design flaw with Hornby more than anything. For some reason on the HSTs, they put the screws right on the edges, and some of the screws, I've had one screw which hasn't really taken. So, you know, it was a bit of a pain to get the screw out because it just spun and spun and spun. It wouldn't actually come out. I don't know why Hornby haven't just figured out and got a better mechanism for doing that. And also, like I said, the screws are way too close to the edge of the bodies. If you're not careful and your screwdriver slips, you can end up scratching the body quite easily. Luckily, I didn't. But it is something that Hornby should bear in mind. So I'm going to bring it round, and then you can have a look and see for yourself. So as you can see, this is my flying banana, and one of them is the Railway Observer, and the other one is, I can't remember what the other one was called, but they're both named, and as you can hear, it's got sound. Now I'm just going to turn the sound down so I can speak to you properly. Now the sound chips that are in these are actually the two sound chips that Alan gave me. Now originally, one of the sound chips that Alan gave me was in the green HST, which I showed you last week. And then the other one was in another HST. The problem is that these two, I don't know why, but the TTS chips don't really like Lima or ring-fill motors that much. They don't tend to run that well, and I was having problems with the green HST because it wasn't responding. The chip just wasn't responding properly. It worked and it ran well when it was running, but for some reason, every time I started it up to begin with, it wouldn't respond properly, and it was just really bizarre, and it just wasn't reliable enough. The other HST it was put in again wasn't reliable enough either. So I decided to have a go. I wasn't sure whether the chips were faulty or whether they just didn't like the other two HSTs. I don't know. But I put the two chips into here, and thankfully, I think they're designed for these super detailed HSTs. So this super detailed HST has got the two chips that Alan had given me. And obviously, as you can hear, the speakers aren't all that great, so I have to replace the speakers on both of them, which is fine. But for now, I know that they're working and they're running fine, and it's got the right chip in it, so it's got an MTU in it rather than a Valento, because these do have MTUs rather than Valentas, and it looks absolutely beautiful. And I've never actually owned, this is my first HST that I've actually owned with buffers on the front of them. So there you go, just have a bit of a closer look of them with the buffers on it. I haven't added the detailing pack. I'm not sure if I will. It seems like it's a bit of a faff to do. I'm not really too sure whether I'm that bothered about it. But there you go. One of them's 43014, which is the power car, and 43013 is the trailing car. So like I mentioned, it was a complete train I bought, and when I picked up the HST set, two-car set, at the same time I got, with the stuff that I traded in, I also got this particular coach. He didn't have any more coaches, he just had this one. Now this one is the Network Rail standby generator coach, which is R4989, which is that one there. So I picked that one up whilst I was with the HST set, but I actually wanted another four, another three to make up 4 sets, because it's almost like a castle set. They generally run as rates of 5 and 6, I think. They hate the Flying Banana. But the thing is, I can't fit 5 and 6 coaches. I can fit 4 in my fiddle yard plus the 2 HST ends in that fiddle yard there, because I've actually got another HST set there, and it will only fit with 4 coaches, which is why I've got 4 in total, which is fine. I'm perfectly happy with that. I don't need any more than that, and it's big enough for my layout. But it just left me with this quandary about getting where to get the other 3 from. And I was also told that they're actually quite difficult to get hold of, or they're starting to get difficult to get hold of, these Mark III Network Rail coaches. I've seen them on eBay, and they range from about £34 or £35 up to about £38, £39. Even on Amazon, they were about £38. I managed to speak to Paul yesterday, and I asked him if he had any Mark III coaches in stock in the Network Rail livery, and he told me he did. He gave me the R numbers, and he asked me to go and check out them on Google, get the images and have a look and see whether or not they were what I wanted. And if they were, then I could just let him know back to say, look, they are, can you keep hold of them? Which is exactly what I did. He gave me the R numbers for what he had. I checked them out on Google, and they were precisely what I wanted. And he's kept hold of them till today, and I went and picked them up this morning, and I've just dropped them. And so yeah, and I'm really pleased, because I'm not exactly sure how the rake or the consist works, but all I know is that all 3 coaches are different. So I've got the first one that I got off of Paul, and the next thing I should actually say that was the price. The price was absolutely amazing, because I saved myself a huge amount of money per item, per coach. So I essentially I think I saved myself around £18 between the 3 coaches. So that's a huge saving, because I paid £31.50 per coach, as opposed to anything between 35 and 38, and some were even going even slightly more. So it depends where you go, so you really need to shop around. But this Paul definitely had them at the best price. Granted, I think he said a couple of them, which is 43010 and R49010 and 011 were from a couple of years ago, which he still had. But even so, his latest one was still the same price. So let me just show you what I have. They all cost me £31.49, as opposed to 35, anything between 35 and 38, maybe more, depending on where you get them from. So this is R4910, and this is just a standard Network Rail coach. And there you go. That's that one there. Now, when he did say, when he had a couple of coaches, Mark III coaches from a few years ago, I was a bit concerned that, I don't know if many of you remember, because Paul certainly didn't remember, that the original livery of the network measurement train used to have 2 blue pinstripes, which used to run all the way across the middle of the coach. So I was a bit worried that this was in the older livery, but as it turns out, when I Googled them and I saw what they were absolutely brilliant, precise. So this is R4910. This one seems to be quite snazzy, because it's got quite a lot of writing on it, and stuff on it. So, and this is R4988, and this is the Mark III TSO coach. But like I said, it does look quite snazzy because it's got quite a lot of writing on it. So there you go, that's that one there. As you can see, it's got quite a lot of writing on that. And then the last one, which is, it just says, again, it's just a Network Rail Mark III coach. It's R4911. Like I said, I'm not exactly sure which order these go in. but again, it's different to all the others. So hopefully, you know, they're all supposed to fit. So now I've got 4 Mark III Network Rail coaches to go with my Flying Banana. So that's cool. I'm really pleased with that. So, I mean, although the HST was a trade-in, the coaches, 3 of the coaches I actually paid for outright. But like I said, at the price that he was selling them for, and the fact that they are getting quite difficult to get hold of, I've now committed to buying the HST, so I'm getting the HST, so I needed to get the coaches for them. So I've now got a nice little rate there. And to be fair, $31.49 I think is a very reasonable and fair price to pay for a coach these days compared to some of the prices that they're charging you for coaches. And finally, to end the video, is a HST you seldom see on this layout, but it is actually probably my favourite HST that I have on this layout, and because it's a HST that I've grown up with. Let me just show you what it is, and we'll talk to you about it in further detail. And that is this HST pack, which is your number was R3271, and that is the Intercity Exec Livery HST. So let me spin you around and we'll talk to you a bit more about it. So here is this little gem of a HST set. I've had this set now for a number of years, and I've actually got the full rake of coaches for this particular set in this livery, which is one of the reasons why I got rid of the other HST, because I didn't have the coaches for it and I didn't really want to invest in the coaches for it. And I thought to myself, well, I've got a full set for this HST set, and I love this livery. When I was younger, I used to see this livery quite a lot in Paddington, and like I said, I have fond memories, and I love the Valenta sound, and that's what the update is on this particular HST. The sound chip that came out of the other HST went into this HST, and this has got the Valenta sound, but it doesn't actually have a mega bass speaker in it, which is something it needs, or something a bit more powerful than what it is. So let me just fire her up for you. Yeah, this is how I remember the Valentas, and I used to love the sound of the Valentas. I still do. I prefer them to the MTU sounds, but so basically this is the final bit of the video, is the sound of this HST. Sounds great. So I'll leave you with this final shot of my HST in the Intercity 125 executive livery. I hope you've enjoyed my video today, and until the next time, it's goodbye from Mildenhall and Volmer. Goodbye.